Hi all, good morning. Good morning to everyone. Namaste, wherever you are in the world. We're going to continue this morning as we have been during these mornings with our exploration of Dinacharya. So, hopping on to explore a little bit further about the gift of this morning's ritual and this morning's Dinacharya practice. Good morning. Namaste, Jack. Anya. Kelly, seeing various individuals hopping on. So just wait a couple minutes for our family to make their way here. And thus far we've already touched on the application of Dinacharya for the five senses. So we've actually gone through all five senses. And if you've missed that, or if you missed one or two and you're wondering and you want to hop in and find what's there, then you can go back to my Facebook page. They're all there. Or you can hop onto YouTube. So just look for Tiffany Nicholson-Smith on YouTube and you'll find the videos there. And also on the Ayurveda website, on rasa-ayurveda.com, you'll also find a whole host of educational material there, including about Dinacharya. So you'll find us there. Just want to make sure that we're working here as well. Good morning everyone. There seems to be a little bit of glitches with Facebook Live this morning, so let's see what's happening for all. Okay. So this morning what I wanted to touch on was, even though we've gone through most of the main rituals, most of the main Dinacharya that is done in the bathroom except for showering, so we haven't talked about that, and we will actually talk about bathing because it's outlined in the tradition as well. There are a couple small add-on practices, we could say, or add-on rituals that I think are important to mention, that are sort of inclusive to some of the other ones, but also we could almost call them separate. So this morning, what I wanted to point to was head and foot oiling. So when we talked about Abhyanga or Snehana, we talked about this full body oiling and the importance for the element of air and touch, and what it does generally to our sense of internal well-being. Also, I was talking about the rise or the balance of oxytocin, and the way in which literally people will often say when they start doing a daily self-Abhyanga practice, how they feel that they are truly in many ways increasing in their self-love, in their sense of calmness, because it's a self-affection, and that self-affection really truly does change things. So something happens for us, but also in that Abhyanga, a feeling of protection, because the oil really protects, it soothes, it calms, it pacifies, and it helps to nourish really, and cleanse even the body as well. So that Abhyanga can also be taken up to the head, it can be taken down to the feet, and there are even other parts of the body that I'll sometimes suggest. For example, for women, definitely doing Abhyanga or using Abhyanga even in and through the area of the breasts, making sure that we're not missing the breasts. And for both men and women, Abhyanga also in and through the sexual organs, in and through the genitals, making sure that that area too receives this nourishment. So today I wanted to touch on especially the hair oiling. Foot oiling is a little bit more self-explanatory, but I think I'll do a separate video on it because it especially relates to sleep. So I'll talk about it a little bit more in our Ratricharya, in our evening routine. So I know some of you are hopping from Facebook, and I just wanted to check in if you're able to comment, if you're able to see me on Facebook Live as well, because something seems to be glitching there this moment. I'm wondering if those on Facebook might not be able to to see me or receive me. So if there's anyone who's currently also on Facebook, could you let me know if you see Facebook Live? Yeah, that's the strange aspect. It says that we are recording right now. It says that I'm live. But for some reason, yeah, okay. Yeah, it even says on my computer right now that I'm live now. On Facebook, it says that. But it's showing me live, it's showing me speaking, and it's showing the live recording. But somehow it's not working. Okay, so we're going to continue here on Instagram, and that's that, I suppose. We'll see. I'm also wondering, let me stop for a second. I'm also wondering if it's set to some kind of privacy setting. So sorry about this, everyone. Just give me 1 second. It's simply out of my yearning that all will be able to receive. Yes, public. So it was set on a privacy setting. Here we go. So again, welcome those on Facebook Live as well. I hope you're able to see me. We had, it should be coming on now. We're both on Instagram Live and Facebook Live. So as I was saying, this morning, the practice that we're going to touch on is sort of supplementary, or it's a continuity, let's call it, of Abhyanga. So we already talked about Abhyanga. We talked about this more body massage. So Abhyanga or Snehana, the beautiful practice of oiling down the whole body. So the one we're going to touch on today is actually what we call hair oiling or head oiling. In fact, a lot of us think of it as hair oiling because we're concerned with the quality of our hair. So we focus a little bit more there, right? So we think of it as hair oiling. But actually in Ayurveda, it's called ShiroAbhyanga, which means head oiling. So of course the hair is getting oiled, but so is the head. And as I was mentioning a moment ago, this oleation, this oiling, this Abhyanga practice is not just done on the whole body, but there are also specific areas that I really want to highlight that we also include in that practice. And I mentioned it already on Instagram Live, but I just want to mention it again on Facebook Live, that it's important that we touch into the areas like as women of the breasts, or that we touch also into the areas of the head and the feet. And even in Ayurveda, it's highlighted that we also touch and oil the areas of the sexual organs or the genitals. We want to give them also this, no pun intended, but lubrication, but more than that, the protection of the oils, all the herbal medicine of the oils, all the benefits that are received in through the whole body. Of course, we want that also to go towards the reproductive organs. So when you're doing your Abhyanga practice, make sure that any of those, kind of patterned or conditioned taboos to touch into the various areas of really the gift that is this system, the gift that is this body. Watch if there are those tendencies, because actually this is part of the reason that those areas get stagnant. Energy gets stagnant in those areas. So especially for women, like I said, I really highlight doing lymphatic massage, breast massage, etc. So today our focus is on ShiroAbhyanga, on this head massage. And I'm showing you this because this is our head and hair oil from Rasa Ayurveda. So it's a formula of oils that are wonderful for cognitive functions, for calming the brain, for pacifying the mind, and for really just balancing the entirety of what is the cerebral brain. And at the same time, it's wonderful for hair health as well. You can again use your own simple oil. So a simple oil, for example, of sesame oil, sesame or combined with sesame, sunflower, olive oil, coconut oil, those can all be wonderful for the head and hair. Coconut is a little bit cooling, so make sure if you're in winter climate that you're not using just a coconut oil on the head. And then of course, if you wanted to add some essential or herbal oils into the oil, you could do so. In our hair oil, I've formulated specific things like bringaraj, which is excellent for strengthening the hair, for decreasing vata or thinning of the hair, graying of the hair. It's excellent for helping with graying. Although, as you can all see, I naturally have these gray streaks, even with using bringaraj. It's been coming since I was 20, actually. So it's a pitta constitution tendency, just so everyone is aware that might have that as well. So we've put Brahmi in this, and then I've also put a host of essential oils in it that are excellent for hair and scalp health. Things like rosemary or cedarwood, lavender. So you'll find different herbs in this. And there is one herb in this that I just absolutely love and have included in a few of our formulas, which I've mentioned before, which is called Jatamamsi. Jatamamsi is an herb that's found in the Himalayas, and Jatamamsi, or spikenard as it's sometimes called in English, is an excellent herb for pacifying and calming the brain. We often use it in ShiroAbhyanga, in this beautiful treatment where oil is poured over the forehead, because it's really known to empty out and release old stagnant thoughts, emotions, trauma that might be held in the mind, and to help to literally release those from the brain. So we've also put that, and I've formulated that into our hair oil. The point is that when we are massaging or using oil on the head or on the hair, it should truly also be increasing the cognitive capacity and creating a protection for the head and the mind, not just health for the hair. And you see that in the Ayurvedic tradition, that it wasn't just about hair health, but it was truly also about brain health. So that's what we're doing. So there's a couple ways you can do head abhyanga, that you can do ShiroAbhyanga. One is sort of a daily ritual, like we talked about yesterday with ear oiling. So as a daily ritual, obviously we don't want to be oiling all of our head and our hair every day, because that would require washing our hair every day, which is unnecessary. And it would also, of course, be really tedious to be doing that every day. So Abhyanga for some of us could be a daily practice, especially Vata, Pitta constitutions. It can be a wonderful daily practice. But hair oiling, I might suggest that daily you do a small amount, which is more like a head or scalp oiling. And then once a week you do a full head and hair oiling. So the daily practice involves just using somewhere between a teaspoon to a tablespoon. So as I've been doing with the various oils, you want to warm it up. So the warmth not only helps to meet the body in its already temperature. So what I mean by that is it doesn't give a shock. So any of these Dinacharya practices, we don't want to be offering a shock to the body. It wants to be soothing, pacifying, calming. But secondarily, when we bring some heat through this water bathing, so through this hot water bathing to the oil, it allows the herbs in the oil, it allows the medicine of the oil to be absorbed deeper into the scalp, into the head, and also into the hair. You'll also notice that the aromatherapy of it increases. So with the warmth, the fragrances of it tend to increase. So if you're adding any oils, like some of the ones I was mentioning, like rosemary, cedarwood, lavender, of course we never want to heat these. So I've mentioned that before. You don't want to be heating these in a pan or something like that. But doing this water bathing with your dropper, with your container, is a wonderful way to warm it, and then that warmth will help in the absorption as well. So as a daily practice, what we want to do is take our dropper, so even at home, if you're making your own hair oil or using a plain sesame oil as well, you want to take your dropper and put somewhere between sort of like 7 to 12 drops, which usually is around a teaspoon to a tablespoon, into the hand, and you can see the amount there. And then from there, you're going to take it and take it in through the right hand. You can put 2 to 3 fingers into the oil, and then you'll separate the hair. So what you're going to do is just find that apex of the head, the very center point of the head, and then press the oil into that area and rub. So allow it to touch into that apex. And even if you want to directly use the dropper, you can directly use the dropper and put it into that area. And then from there, you can use your fingers to gently put it through the hair, or use a natural comb as well to get it in through the scalp and the hair. But especially this massage in through the apex and in through the top of the head. As I've mentioned before, both here and in some of the sadhana, so some of the morning hatha yoga practices that we've been having, I've been mentioning that there are 112 marma points, or acupressure points. And these points, they correspond to various systems, to various energetic flows, and to various organs. These acupressure points we can kind of liken to what's used in TCM as well, so the points that are there, but they specifically arise from the wisdom of Ayurveda. And so in the head, we have a huge condensation. There's a large amount of these 112 points, acupressure points, and it's actually quite intuitive. So when you touch the top of the head, you can feel something there. When you touch the middle of the forehead, you can feel something there. The space between the eyebrows, it's like we feel intuitively when we massage these areas. The areas of the temples, how many of us often go here when we're feeling stress or tension? There are also marma points a little bit farther back along that apex. And then right at the back of the space that mirrors the eyes, we have marma points here, sort of as we reach down towards the nape. So there are various marma points, and maybe one day we will have some time to explain and to go through these together. But when you start to give the head a bit of a massage every day, you're really helping to balance and to stimulate all of these marma points, which many of them correspond to the five senses. So as we've discussed before, those five senses and the health of those five senses really connects to our general health and our capacity to connect to all five elements. But also generally, you're increasing your cognitive capacities, you're helping to calm and pacify the brain and the mind. So I suggest as a daily practice with the ShiroAbhyanga, put that little bit of oil into the top of the head and then let it be worked in a massage, in an intuitive massage, down and through the head and down and through the hair, just as a light moisturizer. So it doesn't need to be, if you already have hair that's quite oily or greasy, just a couple drops on that area and a little bit worked through. Alternatively, some people like to use our hair oil just in the tips of the hair or after showering. Of course, this will bring hair health, but it's not the same benefits as what we're talking about getting that herbal medicine and the massage into the acupressure points of the head. So you can use it more just for the hair, but for all of you, I really want to highlight this head massage. Now, as a weekly practice, as I was mentioning before, especially for those of you of a Vata dosha constitution or a Vata prakruti, so those of you who might have more air or more ether, those of you who deal with things like anxiety or scatteredness, or who feel generally sort of dispersed, who feel a lack of grounding, this is an excellent ShiroAbhyanga. Good morning. ShiroAbhyanga is an excellent practice to do quite consistently, even a couple times a week. So what I mean by that is this daily practice is great for most of us, especially Vata and Pitta constitutions. But doing a more extensive practice is especially great for those of us who might be feeling any of that kind of anxiety, scatteredness, etc., lack of groundedness. And so that practice involves using more oil. And it's beautiful because you see in India that a lot of Ayurveda has just remained as commonplace practices, things that are integrated in everyday life. And so many times, many of my dear friends, especially women in the family, will have like their Sunday in which they'll do a full, face masking, hair masking, head masking, implementing a lot of these practices, even giving each other massage. So it's really beautiful to see the way in which Ayurvedic practices still exist in many of these ways. So doing it as a fully involved practice, we're going to use much more oil, and it really depends on your scalp and your hair. So for me, I need to use, because as you can see, I have really thick hair. And so, but this thickness and the quality of my hair, even though it's gray, or much of it, some of it is gray, I really have to say that that the quality of my hair is really due to the gift of Ayurveda, both internally, taking care with Ayurveda, with diet and with herbs, but also with doing this practice, with doing the ShiroAbhyanga practice. I so often get asked what I use in my hair or how I've treated my hair. So I want to highlight that. And so as a more involved practice, using as much as is needed, and again, that warm oil, so it will be in your hot water bath, and then putting it into the hand, and again, in the same way, starting at the top and starting to work it through all of the head. I'm not doing my entire head right now because I have to join you in a moment for meditation and then for yoga. And this is something I want to highlight. When the whole head is covered in oil, we don't want to get cold. So we want to make sure to cover it, to tie it up, to cover it. And just like Abhyanga, we want to leave it for some time to really absorb into the head and the hair. So say an hour 2 hours before we go into the shower. I'm doing that because the shower is behind me. So before we hop into the shower. One thing I do not suggest is necessarily sleeping with it, especially those of you who have sort of central air conditioning or you live in wintry climates, because you will get a breeze and you can get a cold by sleeping with this oil dampened hair. So please make sure that you don't sleep with it, but you leave it on in the daytime and you don't get cold. So working it all the way through head, all the way through hair, working it towards the tips. You're going to do that hair oiling and head oiling in all parts, really try to get the back of the scalp also up and through. And at this time, if you feel like you want to do a good face massage or a face pack, that's something that once a week you might do as well. And we'll touch on a face pack another time together. We're doing that. And then from there, my suggestion is once the whole head is oiled, once all the hair is oiled, then as I said, take the hair, tie it up. So tie your hair. And then from there, I suggest covering it. So whatever you have that you might cover your hair with. So it could be a towel, but a towel can be quite heavy and also heavy as far as the health of the hair. So you want to take care of the health of the hair. So I have a whole heap, over these years of being in India, of different scarves. So from there, wrapping the head in a scarf. So this is helpful, doing a wrap all the way around and through. And then carrying this around. So you can wrap it, and then if you feel to, you can take the wrap all the way around. And some of you are giggling at this time. But this is what I tend to do. So I tend to wrap it in and through, and to tie it or fasten it at the top in and through here. It's very funny to do this on the call with all of you. Can you please laugh? And then to take it all the way around. So it's nice and warm, basically. So you want to keep the head warm, especially the top of the head. So this is why I'm showing you this. You might be like, come on, I know how to put a bandana on. But what you want to do is really wrap it so that you have a knot or something at the top of the head, and this will help to keep some of the warmth. Otherwise, if you have a toque or you have something, you have something that you sleep with, so if you have like a nighttime cap as well, you can use that. But make sure especially that top part of the head, the apex, is not exposed. So the very top of the head shouldn't be exposed because you don't want that cold entering into that area. So wrapping the head in whatever way feels perfect for you. And then when you finish, you're going to unwrap the head, release the hair, and then you want to shower out the oil. So don't take your hair wrap off and then stay in cold. Don't go outside with this. You really want to take care that the head doesn't get cold, like I was mentioning before. That can actually have the antithesis of what we're looking for. So it can actually create more cold and less immunity in the body. This will also strengthen not just the brain, but it can also strengthen the immunity in the system by doing this and by bringing that little bit of oil to the top of the head. It's known that much releases from the top of the head, inclusive of heat and various things, even in both the Vedic tradition and also in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition. They even talk about this apex of the head being where an enlightened being may release from their body when they pass. So there's a lot of reverence that's given to this area. So we want to keep that area sort of warm, covered, not overtly cold as well. Okay, so this is head and hair oiling, what we call ShiroAbhyanga, either our daily practice with a small amount or our more involved practice, doing that once a week. All right, dear ones, I will meet you in a moment or two for meditation this morning, and I really hope that this has been of benefit to all of you. And you'll notice a difference also even in mental health when you start to do this practice. It is truly calming, pacifying. It brings an evenness to the brain and also to the mind. So I would suggest starting to practice it. And those of you who have no hair, all the more benefit, but make sure you're also, and what I mean by that is, men often say to me, I only want to do that, why would I want to do this if I don't have hair? This is a women's practice. Not at all. Men also do this. You'll be able to access your scalp much more as well. And still make sure though that you're wrapping the head or putting a hat onto the head just to protect it. Okay, have a beautiful day, everyone, and hopefully I'll see some of you for a meditation or for a Hatha Yoga back here in a couple minutes. Namaste, everyone. Bye.